Let's add a background color for this. I click on drawing and drag a background code block here. Let's choose black as the color here. Okay, now to create these stones, let's create a function. I drag the function myFunction encode block under functions here. Let's give the name of the function here as create stones. When calling this function, it is necessary to provide the name of the function, the number of stones to be created, the x position of the row of stones, the distance between two stones, diff, and the y position. To make room for this, I will click 3 times on this arrow on the right side. Here, let's name it as numStones. Here, let's name it as x. And here, let's name it as diff. Here, let's name it as y. Since there are many stones in one row, we can easily create a row of stones by using a for loop. I click Ctrl and drag the for code block into this function code block. Here, the number of times required to repeat the code block cannot be specified. When the function is called, this for loop needs to be repeated as many times equal to the number of times given as numStones. For that, the variable called I that started from 0 will be kept the same. Now, how do we give the condition here? Starting I from 0 if the repetition is done until I is a number smaller than numStone, it is correct, isn't it? Here, let's name it as a numStone in the right side of the smaller than sign. Since the value of I needs to increase one by one, I will keep this I++ code block like this. Now let's create the stones. For that, a var sprite equal code block in the sprite section is dragged like this. The name of the sprite is given as stones. With this equal sign to the right, we need to give the x and y position of the stone as well as the width and height of the stone. To make room for that, double click on the arrow on the right side. For these stones, a specific x and y position cannot be given here. We need to create stones according to the x and y position given when we call the function. Because all the rows of stones we need are horizontal rows, the y position of the entire row of stone has to be the same value. But from stone to stone, the x position changes. When we call the function, only one value is given for the x position. That value can be taken as the x position corresponding to the first stone in the row of stones. Then we need to find the x position of the other stones in the row based on this value. Every time, we have to create the next stone an equal amount ahead of the number given for diff more than one stone. For the first stone, you can take the x position we give, that is x. For the second stone, x need to add a diff amount. That means it should be x equal x plus diff. Here, we can use the same values given for x and y when calling the function for x and y position. In the for loop itself, let's change the value of x. With that, you can change the x position of the second and third stone. So let's give it as x and y here as well. In a stone, like the width, the height is also given 5e. Next, for stones, a color should be given. Click sprites and drag a sprite.shape color code block here. The name of the sprite is changed to stones and the color is given as orange. In a for loop, every stone we create should be added to the row of stones. For that, a group called obstacles has been created. Let's add these stones to that group. The group.add code block under group is dragged like this. The name of the group is given here as obstacles and here it is typed as stones. When stones are created in this way, it is necessary to add one each to the value of the total stones variable. For that, click variables and drag an x equal code block here. Instead of x, give it as total stones and drag a code block with the plus sign under math to the right side of the equal sign. Let's give total stones here and type 1 here. We still did not change the value of the x position after creating one stone and moving to the next stone. Now, we dragged an x equal code block here. Now, drag a plus sign from the math section To the right side of the plus sign, give diff, and to the left side, give an x. When the for loop repeats to the value of x when the function is called, let's add the value given for diff. In this way, every time the for loop repeats, the value of x increases by diff.